Welcome to Bizarre Podcast.
Haunted objects. There are a dime a dozen at the moment. Just go on eBay and browse the thousands and thousands that are listed there every day. But are they real? Here are a few of my favourites that I think just might be. There are a lot of people today selling supposed haunted objects on eBay after some easy money. But one item that was listed on the online auction site had a horrifying backstory that may just be real. Let me take you back to September 2001 when an antique buyer, Kevin Mann, attended an estate sale in Portland, Oregon. The items being sold that day had once belonged to an old lady who passed away at the grand age of 103 years. One particular item caught the antique buyer's eye. A simple wooden wine cabinet called a dybbuk box, which according to Jewish folklore is said to possess an evil spirit. He made his purchase, but before leaving, he was stopped by the deceased woman's granddaughter, who felt the need to inform him of her grandmother's past after seeing him purchase the box. The old woman had been Jewish and was the only member of her family to have escaped a Nazi concentration camp during World War II. When she was integrated to the USA, the wine cabinet and a few other items was all she had with her. The granddaughter explained that when she was a child, the grandmother had always kept the box hidden away out of her reach and warned her that it should never be opened because it contained an evil spirit called a dybbuk. The old woman had requested the box to be buried with her, but her family did not do so. Kevin offered the box back to the granddaughter, but the granddaughter strongly refused, saying the deal was done and now it was his. When Kevin returned back to his shop, he placed the box down in his basement, and almost immediately things started to happen. One day he was called by his shop assistant, who was in hysterics, claiming that the lights had gone out, enclosing her in darkness, as the doors had all locked, followed by terrible sounds coming from down in the basement. Kevin went down into the basement, where he found every light bulb smashed, and a strong smell of cat urine was in the air. Kevin had purchased the box for his mother's birthday. At this point, still a skeptic, decided to give the box to his mother as a gift. After she opened the box, she immediately suffered a major stroke and collapsed on the floor, and was rushed to hospital. When Kevin's mother regained consciousness, she told him that when she opened the box, she felt a blast of air hit her, and a demonic feeling penetrated her body. After this, Kevin attempted to give the box away to several more people, but it was always returned to him before long, usually because he said it gave them an awful feeling. He began to have horrible recurring nightmares of an ugly old hag that had him waking up screaming. He later discovered that all his family members were having the same nightmares as he was. One night after falling asleep at his computer, researching the box online, he awoke suddenly feeling someone or something breathing down his neck. As he turned to look, he saw a big shadow figure looming over him, and then it turned and dashed away down the hall. This is when he decided to sell the box online, giving a full detailed account of everything he had experienced with the box. The dybbuk box was purchased by Jason Haxton, a curator of a medical museum in Missouri. Since the purchase of the box, Jason has experienced many a strange thing, stating that once he vomited a strange substance, as well as his eyes leaking blood. He also claims that he now keeps the box buried in the grounds outside his home to keep the evil at bay. So what do you think? Was this just another money-making scheme from an eBay seller? Or does the box actually house a demon called a dybbuk? The haunted Egyptian statue. Staff at the Manchester Museum in Manchester, England, have been left puzzled and creeped out by the apparent haunting of a 4,000-year-old Egyptian statue, which stands only 10 inches tall. The statue has been in the museum now for over 80 years. But in 2013, the curator noticed that the statue had begun to turn in full circle, which is strange, said the curator, as the statue is kept in a locked case and he is the only one with the key. He decided to set up a time-lapse camera, and he did indeed capture it moving of its own accord throughout the day, until it had turned its back on the visitors of the museum. According to the curator, ancient Egyptian spirits are said to possess statues such as these, when the physical body is dead. Scientist Brian Cox gave an explanation that it may be vibrations from the crowds walking past the statue causing it to turn. But the curator does not buy into this theory, since the statue has been on display for over 80 years and has never moved before. What do you think? Is this a mummy curse from the dark tomb? Or is it just bad vibrations? Last but not least is the Annabelle doll. Probably one of the most famous haunted objects, made more famous by the Hollywood movie. But in real life, the doll looks nothing like its movie version. Think of her more of a raggy doll, rather than the horrific doll in the movie. Let me take you back in time again. It's the 1970s, and a student nurse named Donna received the Annabelle doll from her mother, who bought the doll from a thrift store as a gift for her. At first there was nothing out of the ordinary happening, but gradually Donna and her roommate Angie started to notice the doll make slight movements when they weren't looking. This could have been put down to imagination of the girls, but soon the doll's movements started to increase. For example, the doll started to move around the apartment with no explanation. One minute she would be on Donna's bed, and the next, sitting upright on the couch. Next came the notes that would appear around the apartment written on parchment paper, which neither of the girls owned. The notes had the words "Help us" written on them. One day Donna returned home to find Annabelle sat on her bed, which was exactly where she'd left the doll, so that was a good thing. Upon closer inspection, Donna noticed a blood-like substance coming from the doll, mainly from the doll's hands. At this point, she thought it was probably wise to bring in a medium. The medium informed the girls that the apartment had been built on top of a field where a little girl called Annabelle supposedly died, and her spirit had taken a shine to the doll and decided to possess it. The girls took sympathy on the spirit and decided to keep the doll so the little girl's spirit wasn't lonely. But soon, things would take a turn for the worst. One day, a close friend called Lou was spending the day with Angie when he heard a noise coming from Donna's room. Startled, Lou went to investigate. Upon entering the room, he saw the doll sat in the chair. All of a sudden, he got a terrible creepy feeling, and then a striking pain on his chest, as if the doll had lunged at him, although the doll never moved. Lou had a series of scratches on his chest, although he had been attacked by a garden rake. This attack prompted Donna to call in more mediums. This time she called in Ed and Lorraine Warren, the world-famous duo who had worked on cases such as the Amityville Horror and the Enfield Poltergeist. Informed Donna the doll was not possessed by a little girl, but a demon posing as one, and the intention was to eventually take possession of Donna's soul. They had a priest bless the apartment, and the Warrens agreed to take the doll away with them. The Warrens arrived home with the doll and placed her in Ed's study, where they witnessed her moving around the house and appearing in different rooms, and once was seen levitating above Ed's desk. They soon decided to lock Annabelle up in a glass case to stop her moving around, where she remains to this very day. So a word of advice: if you're considering buying a doll for your son, daughter or grandchild, maybe you should consider buying one brand new in a box. Thanks for listening. See you next time.